I have Gregory Levy here today, and we're going to just open up the mic to talk about general things. Larry, I just wanted to tell you thank you for this platform, and I want to tell Greg Levy thank you for your availability. And tonight, I just want to talk to you about some things that were on my mind. This weekend, I went to an event, and it was given by the Republican Party here in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was held at the Galleria. They gave honor to several of the leaders here. We also had Arado Rivera. He was honored as a journalism, a person that gave it to the community. We had Bashir Jones. He was honored. Several of the Republican Party, this was given by Reverend Darrell Scott and his church organization. My concern was this. On a $25,000 giveaway, as it was touted and led for the citizens to believe, they didn't give away that much. And they had a lot of families there, whole families with children, and we were under the impression that everyone would leave with something from this $25,000. My hurt was that you have parents with small children sitting in the audience for 4 hours listening to this political jargon, and they left with nothing in their hands, and they thought that they would come and have extras given to them for their children. I frown on this because Christmas is a time of giving, and when you're billing it that we want to help you and your family, not just sit 4 hours while we tout our political strength, but we felt very disappointed in our leadership because you had people sitting there for a very long time with children, and we were not able to fulfill the promise that was given to them. So, with that being said, I'm going to change my subject. I wanted to ask my son, Greg, what do you think about dreams unfulfilled or dreams to be fulfilled? Is there purpose in that? Dreams.
Dreams. That makes me think about the Langston Hughes poem, Dream Deferred. And in that poem, which, Langston Hughes is a much honored Black Renaissance poet, it talks about the pain of dreaming, right? And to have hopes that won't be fulfilled. And I find that poem to be very poignant. Because dreams are important, goals, expectations. It's important to keep you motivated, but sometimes everyone doesn't get to. I mean, there is a such thing as a false hope, right? As people of faith believe. You're in some journey to get to the right place. I think sometimes you can have a dream that's ill-begotten.
But if dreams are of any significance and important, why do we tell people to dream big? Larry, you had mentioned something that everything came from above. And I see dreams as an important process to purpose. That without a vision, and people don't think about this, but there are visions that we need to write down so that we'll know, so that we'll have a destiny to go in this dream process.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you because dreams, I feel like God gave us an imagination for a reason. And it's a real important part of a personal growth. But if I could go back to what you were talking about earlier, when you're talking about the the Republican, whatever that they did. If you know the Republican Party, if you know Darrell Scott, the fact that he was one of the first Trump supporters,
Yeah, I do
and you know
understand
the history, if you got a broader specter on it, then you won't sit there really expecting. That's a false hope. That's a false dream. And, you know, for people of faith, I mean, I think that's a huge tenet of what we're supposed to be about is about
being truthful.
The Holy Spirit is often talked about as the spirit of truth.
Yes.
All right. So like, if you attach your imaginations to something that's false, or to something, if you connect yourself to something that is headed in the wrong direction, you can dream all you want to. You're going to end up, because the Bible talks about reaping and sowing.
Yes.
And so and it talks about, you know, a tree by its fruit. And that's just truth. I think that so many dreams are about things outside of reality.
But I disagree with you on that, Greg, simply because I think dreams and visions are from above, and they will come to pass if it's truly something that you believe to make happen. We would not have an automobile if it wasn't for a dream. We wouldn't have an airplane if it wasn't for a dream. These things came out of thought processes, and God gave them direction on how to build houses and how to clothe people. I mean, he's even given us an availability as parents to love our children in a better way. I mean, everything just don't come natural. And I think that us as people, human beings, that if we don't, God gave us dreams and visions to see what we was going to do with them. I mean, we get a dream, and I'll just use, for example, an ability to sing. So some people pursue the dream, and they don't make it big, but it's kind of like Langston Hughes. He was bigger after death than he was while he was here. I mean, the struggle is continuous, but yet and still, it's not a dream deferred. It was actually a dream realized.
Well, I think the beauty of his poems was that he spoke something that wasn't mainstreamed. In the 20s, this is a part of African American history that African American study scholars refer to as the nadir, which means it's like the absolute depth of depravity in the history of our country. A lot of people think of all the slaves were freed and then it was an upward trajectory, but that's not actually true. That what actually happened is that there was a reinstitution of slavery through the Jim Crow system and legislated right, and the actual plight of Black Americans went way down. And the 20s was that depth.
Yeah.
So what he was speaking to was generations and generations of people who lived in severe oppression and given voice to it, to the truth of their realities, right? And so I think the dream deferred wasn't a motivational speech for a person. It was a voice of patterns, of systems, of
oppression,
of real people's lives, and mama and grandmama and our whole people.
Right.
You know, so.
Because I remember one of the poems that stated, "Life for me has been no crystal stair."
Yes.
But I've been a climbing. And I think that spoke to the people of that time, even of our time now. When I think about how a lot of the noted poets, their most appreciated poems are the ones where they climb out of destitution and desperation. I like Maya Angelou's, like she said, "Yet I climb, I rise, I rise." So I'm going back to my thought on dreams, okay? Because I think each dream has a purpose. Each thought that builds our creative mindsets has a purpose. I was looking at one of the covers that Wayman Tisdale left to his followers. He said, "Dare to dream, set goals." And I'm just saying that to me that he said, without a vision, the people perish. That's a part of a dream. That's part of dreaming. But the other creative part is seeing it through. Is that they said people that fail to plan, fail, right?
Plan to fail, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it like, what do you call them? Baby steps, or the Bible said, despise not.
Lowly beginnings, or
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So that, to me, that's where the dream starts. And dreaming, okay, dreaming to me is fundamental.
I can't disagree. It's not like I don't agree, but the thing that happens in life that I think goes unnoticed is that there's so much more to it, right? Than like, so what do you think about the American dream, right? Like the
American dream, what they put on paper, that we're supposed to believe is the dream, Martin Luther King's dream, and
right. And so, like, if I was to say, okay, the American dream, the way that it's popular is picket fence. It's a dream of some economic stability.
Yes.
The ability to retire with dignity.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that dream. Right, like,
but everybody can't share
it. Yeah, but the realities behind these dreams is that, like, they're driven on something, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes into the way that we dream and what we think about and what we think is originally us. That's not really originally us. It was marketed to us. Right?
I understand what you're saying, but I think that if it's a dream that is yours, okay? It's kind of like those thoughts that you keep thinking about all the time, and you say, I have to do something with this. I have to make it happen. Now, that's the kind of dreaming I'm referring to. It's kind of like people, I think you're saying, is the dreams that people put in your head as far as becoming successful, having your own, or doing what you want to do as a dream. But what about a person that dare to dream of having their kids and a family, stuff that is doable, but it don't happen for them?
Yeah, no. Well, what I'm getting at is that, all right, so let's take an icon who I think is the greatest American in the history of America, which is Martin Luther King, right?
Okay.
All right, so Martin Luther King had a dream.
Yes.
Okay, so it's super apropos.
Yes.
And his dream was that people would be judged by their character and that we would live in a society that was just, basically. All right, but he also had a critique, right? And his critique was that he had the 3 M's. He said that when he looked at society, American society, that we have 3 major evils: militarism, materialism, and racism, right? So that was his 3 things. And when you and there's so much as things have portrayed to this particular point, I would add to that as a part of like American lore is individualism.
Yes.
Right. And there's a lack of collectivism. There's a lack of understanding that as we live together, that you can't have this dream if it's connected to other people. It's connected to the welfare of this person, that person. We're brothers and sisters. If a significant segment of society is in abject suffering and suffering under like major oppression to the point where like the basic needs are not realistically going to be met,
like the Delta in Alabama.
It's something wrong with a person who's so focused on their own stuff.
Yes.
Right. And it's something that I think is kind of anti-Christian. And I think it's kind of more of us kind of buying into what society's kind of showing us, which is a rugged individualist type dream, right? Which says, listen, don't even worry about everything that's happening around you. If you do everything the right way, you can do this and that and blah, 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 with no thought of the surroundings. And our greatest didn't think like that. I don't think Jesus Christ himself thought like that.
No, he didn't.
So I think that is something wrong, not with dreaming, but I think it's got nothing to do with the imagination and thoughts and aspiration, because we all have that built in us. That it's in our. We want to live. We want to thrive. Every human being wants to thrive. And that's in us. And we use our imagination to be creative about ways to make that come. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it gets to the point where a person is not collective, because our number one resource that we have is each other.
That's our basic.
It's each other. And people who are successful, the thing that they don't tell you when it's always like this kind of clean your own mind out stuff is that the vast majority of the people that are very successful in this country are successful because of the relationship that they have with other people who inherited success on them.
Maybe,
right?
Maybe not necessarily, because some people are successful because they're driven to success. Some people just don't stop until they get what they want.
Well, I mean, all right.
I'm just saying, to me, when you think about what the thought that I came up with when I was thinking about daring to dream is the things that you instill into your child. You want that child to aspire for more by allowing them to dream big, be innovators, to be people that just don't think on a rational or normal plane. Okay.
I don't know, because when I think about success, especially in our society, now, granted, if we're going to talk about true spiritual success,
not necessarily spiritual
but I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about success from a really spiritual, like what success really is.
Are we talking success or dreams?
I'm talking about success, which means well living, thriving.
Okay.
Right? Like success is not, I got this that I can say I've achieved this status or blah, blah, blah. Peace, right? Like, and a great family and great relations in this world, right? So there's that type of success that's success that I would say is lined up with like God, right? Like godly success, right? Versus success where you're noticed. Material success,
yes,
right? Like accomplishments, a resume, accomplishments, and this and that. Now, I admit that those are two different things.
Yes,
right. Like those are two different things, and I think people should strive towards spiritual success over it. And I don't think that they're apart. But if you look at success at the highest levels, like you could look like who's the president of the United States, or whatever, or who. That's not coming strictly from dreaming.
No, I think that sometimes when you talk about success, that it did come from a thought for them to want more. You have to want more and have to see yourself in a different place. And I think dreams has a part to do with that. One of the things that I think that I'm hoping that this audience is gathering from this conversation is that you got to dare to dream. You got to dare to believe in the things that you put in your mind and thoughts that you want to do. I mean, I think about how some of us came out of real bad environments and decided within ourselves, I'll never live like that. I don't want that for myself. And guess what? They don't live like that. I think about a person that's like LeBron James. I mean, he's a good person that a dream is that was realized through him. I think about how George Washington Carver, how he just took the agriculture industry and made himself his own scientist. Nobody went trained him in no books. He just, so I'm just saying, to me, the things that are in our minds that came from God, God could take these thoughts, these are thoughts, and God can put us in position and align this world to meet where he wants to take us.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it's a real argument or anything like that, but
No, I know we're not arguing.
it's just a level of focus. I feel like we live in a society that really focuses on individuals receiving praise, right? And like the greatness of individuals, like history and stuff like that, likes to give us an imagination of exceptional people overcoming odds. And to a certain extent, that's true. But in all of these people, I'm really into biographies and really reading deeply into people's real life lived experience. And LeBron James, who's from Akron, just like me, and I have he came from the typical single parent household, living in projects, living in different places. But what people don't talk about is the people who you don't know who stepped up and became a support system for that man at a very, very young age.
But it made his dream come alive. It pushed him
Exactly.
for greatness.
So,
but let me see it. I'm thinking too that a person, if they have a dream, that things come, that the universe comes in and opens up doors and opportunity that I think each one of us gets an opportunity, but sometimes our own insecurities make us say no when we should have said yes, make us defer our dreams. I mean, I think about like college, how a lot of people made an excuse where they are today when they had this, you know, if they'd have persevered, they could have graduated earlier. Or I go to losing weight. Some people have to lose weight in order to live, but they did not.
Yeah. One thing I think about that I think is super pervasive in society is that, especially in the upper crust of the most generationally people that can reproduce success, like, say, like the Bush dynasty, right?
Yes.
What happens is you have a person like George H.W. Bush, the dad, who was an overachiever, right? And he goes to Yale, he does this thing, he comes from a middle class, and he really shoots it up. And what happens is for his children, his son gets to be the president, and he was on cocaine. He had all these serious problems, but what happens for him is he gets provided chances. Right? And he's a human being.
Yes.
And we all, I mean, like if you go to the Bible, you listen and read about somebody like King David, like people have struggles. That's a part of the beautiful thing. And the thing is that, but everyone don't get the same chance.
No.
But from societally, what tends to happen is that there, in our particular society, there's this almost worship of the winners. And there's this disdain for the people. So like, and the judgment isn't even, right? So because we would know that like, all right, so people that come from a disadvantaged background have to work 1,000,000 times harder to do the same thing, right? But if they fail, there's like a sentiment that if they just would have pushed.
Yes.
If they just would have pushed. Man, if you don't eat, eventually you're going to fall out.
Yes.
Somebody, I mean, like, that's the thing that I think that we really have is the ability that if we have a collective mindset, that what we do is we create a flourishing and an opportunity of flourishing for other people around us so that they can get around to the thriving.
Now, as soon as you said that, that reminded me of this way I was entertained this weekend. That they really believe that by flashing $25,000 in the face of people and telling them that it's better than us not giving you something. And yet at the same thing, if you have 500 people and only 100 of them were served, did you really do anything for 500.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's
Well, like I say, with a knowledge of the Republican Party, they've had a hard time when it comes to their attitudes on the black community as a whole, and particularly the Trump administration. I think definitely for a person that thinks seriously about it, leaves us wanting, right? And we do have a certain responsibility to kind of know what we're getting into. And
Gregory, at risk of leaving my audience on a negative note and a negative feeling, I wanted to ask you all in the audience if you dare to dream. And if you dare to dream and you have forgotten what your dreams were, go get your dreams back. Because there is so much left to do. And we need a collective body. And Gregory, you did bring out some good points about relationships. Is that there is I believe that there are people waiting for that thought and that dream that's inside you.
I have a question for you, Mom. What is your dream?
What is my dream?
Mm-hmm.
My dream right now is to go on Channel 8 at night, start a show for the kids so that they can experience the fun that we had coming up. That is a dream that I know will be fulfilled in time. I just think that our parents will know where their kids are. They're home watching the show at night. And that it's a dance show like Soul Train. And that's just one dream. Now, another dream that I have is that this platform here will be used by the community, that people will come to people talk to and share their visions, dreams, goals, aspirations, inspiration. This is an opportunity, an open mic for all those that listen. So if you would like to come on People Talk Too, please feel free to call me, Miyoshi Levy, 330-926-6126. And to those that would like to donate to this program, please feel free to call me, Miyoshi Levy, 330-926-6126. And or you can call it KAZ Radio TV anytime. Thank you so much, Greg, for coming and sharing thoughts with me. That is what People Talk To is all about. We are a program here for the community with the community at its heart, and we want to talk to the people. Have a blessed week, and God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in.